Welcome to the June issue of Shutter Magazine. I'm Michael Corsentino, and this month I'm sharing with you some of my favorite ways to use backlighting on location. Now, these are going to be techniques that I use in natural mixed lighting situations where I've got natural light from the sun, and I'm also augmenting with an artificial light source. In this case, it's going to be speed lights, but these techniques can easily be used with portable studio strobes as well. So whatever lighting, whatever artificial lighting that you're using, these techniques will work. In this case, it just happens to be speed lights. So let's take a look at the images from the article. I've thrown in one extra as well for good measure. Let's start off with this issue of Ashley. So one of the first things that I do when I get to a location is I kind of assess what's going on with the light that Mother Nature is giving me before I start complicating things and throwing in artificial lights, just to see what I have to work with. And I also assess what's going on with the location where I want my subjects to be, kind of dictates where things end up falling. So in this case, I brought Ashley in where I kind of thought was a good location for this cool old kind of rustic barbecue joint. And I could see that the sun was creating a really nice look to it. It gave me a beautiful edge light. I'll just mark this up here so you can see. It's giving me a really beautiful hair light along the side and also creating a nice bit of flare over here, which I really like. So the sun is over here. But then all of this stuff on the left is going to fall dark right here. So this is where I would use my speed light. And this is just one light with a CTO gel on it to warm things up. That's color temperature orange gel in front of the speed light's head, just to kind of match the color temperature of the sun. One other thing, and we'll look at a lighting diagram for this in a minute. One of the other things to look at is the dominant light source in this is going to be the sun. And I'm casting this shadow here. I'm not overwhelming that shadow with my I guess with what is my key light, even though this is kind of a dominant source. I'm not, when I say it's dominant, I'm not overwhelming it with this light, with my artificial light, with my speed light, because I'm not casting an opposing shadow. So I'm keeping a natural looking shadow, which I think in this case works well. It doesn't create a kind of a conflict or a cluttered, distracting kind of a shadow. In some cases that doesn't bother me, but in this case I think it works best to let this light really cast the dominant shadow and just kind of fill in with this one and open up the shadows on her. So let's take a look at the lighting diagram for this. So basically, just like we discussed in I believe it was the May issue or the April issue, we've got an access light situation here. We've got two lights opposing one another, facing directly at each other, and really simple stuff, but it works every time. And again, that's giving us our light over here, and the sun is giving us our light over here. So again, simple stuff, but works like a charm every time out. And again, that's just one speed light and the sun, and this has a CTO gel, full cut of CTO gel right on the front there to warm it up and kind of match the color temperature of what the sun is giving us. Okay, let's move on to our next image. Okay, so here we've got Kimberly. And this is one of those similar scenarios where I approach the location and I'm looking at this cool barn and I'm thinking, wow, this is awesome. And she's kind of a country girl look to her, the way we had it styled. And so I bring her in and I kind of say, okay, this is the area where you have to kind of operate. And I have her kind of move around in the space a little bit. And then I see the sun and I've gotten the sun off camera here a little bit more than it was with Ashley. It's not direct sun, but it is still a very hard kind of light. Oh, also one of the things I wanted to mention, let's go back to this shot really quickly of Ashley. I kept the speed light bare, and I kept it bare because I wanted it to match the kind of hard quality that the sun is giving us. Even though it's kind of lower in the sky, it's still got a kind of a harder quality than if I were to modify the speed light with a softbox or something, or shoot it through a diffusion panel, which I did with Kimberly, and we'll look at that in a minute. But anyway, I just want to say that you can work with a bare speed light, and you just still can get some really dynamite quality of light. So don't let a lack of lighting modifiers kind of hold you back. You can still create some pretty cool effects. Okay, so back to Kimberly. All right, so again, the sun is off over here on the left, out off camera. And when I put her in this space, I see that, wow, this is super cool. Look how it's lighting up her hair. And I'm really jazzed by this look. So we've got, let's go over here to our markup layer. Okay, good. And so we've got all of this going on right here. And I'm thinking, wow, that is cool. And it's catching some of this back here. and a little bit down here, etc., etc. And then this, so I'm just thinking, wow, this is really nice. But all of this stuff on her face is falling into darkness, right? Or not darkness, but a lot of shade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another light. And again, it's going to be that kind of access lighting pattern where the two lights, the sun in this case, and the speed light are kind of opposing one another in their arrangement. So let's take a look at our lighting diagram for this, and you can see. And this time I am shooting through a diffusion panel because I wanted to kind of oppose, in this case, the harshness of that quality of light that the sun is giving us on Kim's hair, and oppose it with a softer, more diffuse quality of light, kind of a beauty light look from my key light. So let's go back to our image of Kim there for a minute, and you can see kind of what I'm talking about. So here we've got a much kind of softer quality of light on her face than the harsh kind of rim light, accent light that we've got on her hair, right? Okay, so let's move on to our next image. Okay. So here we've got Kerry, and again, that was just one, the shot of Kim was just one speed light and a diffusion panel. So again, just a one light setup. You can do a lot with just one light and some simple tools. Like that diffusion panel folds down to about a third of its size. It's a Last-A-Light tri-grip. You put it in your backpack and you're good to go. So simple tools, beautiful results. That's what it's all about. All right, again, let's start off. We're looking at a one speed light and an umbrella was used in this. This is a shoot-through umbrella. In this case, what I've decided to do is I've put the sun behind Kerry and hidden it behind this tree so that I'm just getting a nice light happening on the back here, right along the edge of the hair, right there, and it's kind of lighting up that a little bit. But I've hidden it. It's right behind this tree, so it's not really I don't have to make any kind of adjustments with my exposure for it that I might normally. And then I've got my key light here, off to the side here, right? And that's lighting up all of this. And I'm using an umbrella in this case. It's one of those Westcott collapsible umbrellas. They're super tiny convertible umbrella, which can be used for bounce back as well as shoot through. And in this case, I'm using it as a shoot through to light up all of this part of Kerry. And I'm using an umbrella because I want a wider swath of light to be cast, a big pool of light to come across and keep all of her garment open and all of this area open, rather than just here, which if I were using a tighter lighting modifier like a small softbox or something, it would restrict the spread of the light in a way that I did not want. I wanted a wide swath of light, again, all this to come in. Okay, so now that we've completely messed up Kerry, let's take that off. All right, so let's take a look at the diagram here for what we've done here. So here's my shoot-through umbrella, and I do believe I had a CTO gel on there, again, just to keep things warm right in front of the flash. We've got our Westcott, I think it's a 43-inch umbrella. It packs down kind of like a little umbrella that we use in the rain to nothing. It folds down tiny, and again, it's another one of those kind of backpack lighting modifiers, so a great thing to have. People often ask me, well, I don't have any lighting modifiers, what's the one thing I have? And I think a convertible shoot-through umbrella is a dynamite piece of equipment to start with. So that's just lighting up here, giving me all of this light, and then the sun, which is hidden behind this tree, is kind of giving me a nice little light on the hair. And that's it. Super simple, again, and nice result. Okay, let's move on. Now, okay, so now we're looking at a situation where the sun was not where I wanted it to be, but I wanted to have that same kind of look, like as though the sun were behind Kerry, much like what we had in the previous shot. So I had to, how do I create this? Well, it's super easy to create it. Basically, I've moved to a two speed light setup now, where I've got a key light, which is going to be lighting up all of this, and that's right here, okay? And that's a shoot-through umbrella, like we had last time, the Westcott shoot-through umbrella. And then behind Kerry, I've got another speed light, and that is with a CTO gel to match the warmth of the sun, a full cut of CTO. All the CTO gels that I've used in the article are full cut. It just means there are varying degrees of intensity. For the color temperature orange gel, CTO gel, and I'm using a full cut. And you can always double those up too if you want even more warmth, but in this case that was good. So the speed light behind Kerry is giving me that look of the sun. And I might have dialed this down a little bit, but you get the idea. This was not the final shot that we used that she ended up buying, but this is a good example of creating that. So let's take a look at the lighting diagram for this, and you can see kind of what we were doing here. Okay. So there's our shoot through umbrella again, providing all that nice broad quality of light. It's got a CTO gel on the front. I believe I had one on there as well. And then that backlight, which is replicating the rim light of the sun back here, all giving us that edge light all over Kerry's hair. And that is just a bare speed light with a CTO gel on it. So this time I'm working with 2 speed lights. Again, not a tremendous amount of gear, but I think pretty cool results. All right, let's move on to our next image. Okay, this is the image that we use for the title spread for the magazine. And I'm using 2 speed lights here. One over here. Let's get onto our markup layer for that. Okay, there we go. So one over here through this through the window of this pickup truck, and this is a bare speed light. I don't even think there's a CTO gel on there. And then there is one in the back where I think I did put a CTO gel because I wanted to light up all of this back here. So this light over here is giving me all of this warmth and light here and kind of lightening up all of this stuff, right? And the light in the back is giving me all of this stuff, and we'll take a look at the lighting diagram, obviously. And one thing I want, now that I've completely obliterated this, let me get rid of some of this stuff here for a second. Okay, so one of the things I want to just call your attention to is the catch light in the eye. Like I talked about last time, and I'm just going to kind of make this little diagram here of the eye. You can see that I've got on Ashley's eye, I've got my catch light, a really nice catch light right there. So typically, I think I've stated this in previous articles, I want my catch light to be somewhere between 10 and 2 in the eye. Okay, because it looks most natural. What you're trying to do with the catch light is essentially replicate, where the sun is, and the sun is high in the sky, and typically it's going to cast a catch light that's right about there. So if you're doing that with artificial light, that's where I want my catch light, and in this case, it worked out really well. So that's a little bit about catch lights. Let's take a look at the lighting diagram. This is going to be the same lighting diagram for this shot. Again, so I'm shooting my speed light through this windshield. And then I've got another light behind here giving me all this cool light around the back and even a little bit of edge on the shoulder there and there. I think some spill happening there. And these were also, both of these shots were made at the end of the session when there was like no light at all. So I've got CTO gels on the back light on the, and that is, as a matter of fact, I do think I have them on both lights because I was really trying to kind of recreate the sun since we had no light at this point. So pretty amazing. I shot this with a 6D, Canon 6D, and it's got great low light capabilities. So I mean, it kind of looks like it's noon, and it's not. It's probably around 7 or 8 o'clock. Pretty dark at that point. So let's lastly take a quick look at our lighting diagram for this, just so you can see. So here again, you can see that, like we talked about in previous articles, this is that kind of wedge light pattern where we've got that wedge happening. And it always, it just works like a charm. So this light is giving us our backlight, and this light is going to be our key light, lighting up Ashley. All right, so that is going to wrap it up for this month's video. I hope that it's inspired you guys and has gotten you excited to try and incorporate some backlighting techniques into your own shooting. As always, this is Michael Corsentino for Shutter Magazine, encouraging you to get out there and light it up. I'll see you next month. Take care.